is take this information that we just found and make a side-by-side bar chart. It says to make either a side-by-side bar chart or a segmented bar chart. I'm going to show you what a segmented bar chart looks like in just a minute because you're going to need to do that for homework. It's not tough, but I just want to show you a few things about it. All right, so here we go. How am I going to label this bar chart? Well, what are the categories up here? Well, the two categories were you female or male, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to write female and male because that is the gender or the categories. And if you are female or male, then you prefer a certain kind of car, and that is the percentages we're going to put on here. So let me go look up here so I can label my vertical axis. Y'all please forgive me when I say y-axis. That's not really what it is, but I'm so used to calling it that. But I'm trying, so help me out. I'm looking at all these percentages, and the largest percentage I see is 43.5. So I'm going to at least go to 50 on this, okay? And remember, this does not have to be perfect. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Way too large. Let me erase that. I don't need that large. And these are going to be the percentages. 40, 50. These are going to be, I can turn it sideways when I have paper, percentages of preferred make of car. All right. So notice that up here we have three different percentages because we have three different makes of car. So I'm going to have three different percentages for the female. So the first percentage is, let me go down just a little bit so I can see these, and I'll scoot up. And it would be nice if all this fit in one thing, wouldn't it? So 32.6. So I'm going to put 32.6 in a bar. Like a bar that's 32% high, about. And then I'm going to do a bar that is 41.4. You know exactly. This kind of drives me crazy too, that you just gotta do the best you can. This is approximately, kind of. There we go. And then we've got the 25.9. So I'm going to kind of get between 20 and 30. It's kind of my thinking. So the 25.9. Now, if you looked at this, you'd go, I have no idea which one is which, right? I know that I did American, European, and Japanese, but if I'm showing this to someone else, they would not know what these bars stand for. And so because of that, you've got to make something called a key. And a key allows you to shade or color different things so that the display of your data is easier to read. So my key is going to be American, European, and Japanese. And I am going to do little slashes for the American. I'm going to do little circles for the European. And I'm not going to do anything in the bars for the Japanese. And so that lets people know how to read my data. So that means I need to come in here and put some slashes in here, because that means American. European is going to have some circles in it. And then the Japanese will have no markings at all, and that's how you know that, okay? So we're going to do the same thing for the males, and so that's 26.8. So that has to be a little higher than that, but not tons. A little higher than that 25.9. For those of you who like to do things exact, this is going to drive you crazy. So that's like 26.8 about. 29.7 is the next one. That has to be just a little higher. Hopefully we're not to 30 yet. If so, well, at least we're signifying what we're trying to do. And then the 43.5 is pretty tall. We'll try to do kind of a little less than half. There it goes. All right. And I know my lines aren't straight, everything. Whoo, goodness. That's all right. We're trying, right? And don't forget, we got to put the key in there. So I did that. That's the American. The Europeans have the circles, and the Japanese do not have any kind of markings, right? So then it says, what do you notice? And I did not leave room for me to write what I noticed, did I? I'm so crazy. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put gender a little bit up, a little bit, so I have room to write. So you know what that is, but I have room to write. So it looks to me like the females prefer the European. See the circles? Looks like females prefer the European make, and the males prefer the Japanese. Well, if I could spell Japanese, it'd be good. Make. There we go. Okay, so that's a side-by-side bar chart. And when you do that, you have to do a key. That is key to this display. Ha ha ha. All right, and you normally do it over to the right upper or to the right side. And I don't know why, but I always put mine there. I think you can put it anywhere, but that's kind of where you put it. All right, so what is a segmented bar chart? If you take the side-by-side percentage bar chart and you put them on top of each other, that's called a segmented bar chart. So let's look at this. If we add these up, this should be 100% because it's 100% of the females, right? Should be. And this should kind of add up. It should be close to 100. You might have 99.9 or 0.8 because of rounding, or you might have 100.1 or something like that, but it should be close to 100. So I'm going to show you my segmented bar chart so you can see what it looks like. And I need to write the word gender down here. And notice that I have female and male just like I did before. But in every segmented bar chart, it must go up to 100 because what you're saying is I'm stacking all the different parts on top of each other. And when I stack the different parts on top of each other, I should get 100% of the females or 100% of the males in this case, right? So again, I made a key. And how did I find out where to put this? I went and added 32.6, which is my American, to my 41.4, which is my European, and I got 74. So I made this middle bar as close to 74 as I could because you're stacking the percentages on top of each other. And then if I add 74 and the other percent, which was 25.9, I should be really close to 100. Same thing over here. My American was, and I wrote it up here, was 26.8, and if you add the next amount, next percent, that gives you 56.5. So this top of this piece should be around 56.5, and it's not perfect, but it's over 50, I guess. Could be a little higher. And then if you add the 43.5%, that should give you 100. So a segmented bar chart is just stacking the side-by-sides on top of each other. The biggest thing I have to tell you about a segmented bar chart is this always has to be 100. That always has to be 100. You always start at 0 and you always have to end at 100 for the segmented bar charts. And so you should add the first one to the second one to see where that stops. And then when you add the third one, it should go to 100 or however many you have. All right, so I hope that helps. That's going to be a homework problem, so have fun.